Well, I think ultimately he's going to get a hearing and he's going to get a vote and he is going to be confirmed.
If that's the case, why am I here? Why are you guys trying to get your message out to the American people?
Well, trying to get the message out, because one thing we found out, the more people know about it, Democrats, Republicans, Independents say, hey, look, the President did his job, do your job, Senate. Look, the Constitution says the President shall nominate, not may, not if he wants to, shall nominate. No, number one. And the Senate must respond. You don't have to vote for it. The senators from Kentucky or from anywhere else in the country don't have to vote for the nominee. They can vote against the nominee.
I am nominating Chief Judge Merrick Brian Garland.
The president announced his selection of Chief Judge Merrick Garland in March, but Senate Republicans refused to address it, saying the next president should make the nomination. Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell says they're not budging.
Under the Constitution, the President and the Senate have joint responsibility in filling a vacancy on the Supreme Court. When the American people elected a Republican majority in 2014, they were not saying confirm a liberal nominee by Barack Obama to turn the court to the left for the next generation.
Senior advisor to the president, Valerie Jarrett, disagrees.
What we believe is that the president has a constitutional responsibility to nominate when there's a vacancy, and the Senate has a responsibility for advise and consent. Well, the only way you can responsibly advise and consent is to have a hearing. And now we're seeing increasingly Republican members of the Senate who are having private meetings with Judge Garland, not perfunctory, lengthy meetings, asking him all kinds of questions about his qualifications. Why are they afraid to do that in public? Let the American people see what they're seeing right now, which is that he's absolutely qualified.
McConnell also says Republicans are bolstered by what he calls the Biden rule.
The Vice President is a very poor advocate for the position he's now taking, because in 1992, when he was chairman of the Judiciary Committee, he said to the Bush 41 administration, if a vacancy occurs in the middle of a presidential election, we won't fill it.
Is he quoting you correctly?
No,
Okay.
he's quoting part of what I said. Senator Grassley, very conservative chairman of the Judiciary Committee, in a question and answer period the other day, said, well, there is no Biden rule like that. You know, that rule doesn't exist. What exists is everybody under me got a vote in committee, on the floor, in an election year. That's the Biden rule. It's the Constitution.
Jarrett feels strongly that McConnell and other Republicans are putting short-term political interests ahead of what's best for the country.
Our country deserves a full Supreme Court. There's a reason why there are 9 members in the event of a tie. And why would they not do their jobs? The president did his job, and we would really like for the Republicans to do theirs.
The vice president also thinks waiting for a new president leaves the court divided 4-4 for too long.
To leave the court, it'd be the first time in history that's happened. And it's just moving the dysfunction in Congress to a co-equal branch of the government. And that's not the way to run a country.
We're not going to consider this nominee because the nomination's going to be made, and the Senate will ultimately confirm a nomination made by the person who's being elected in November to take office in January.
So for